How can someone vanish from a hospital room that was locked from the inside, while security cameras watched every second? That night, everything inside St. Helena Hospital was quiet. The halls were dimly lit, and the night staff were making their usual rounds. In room 407 lay a woman named Evelyn Carter, admitted for minor injuries after a car accident. She wasn't a criminal, she wasn't restrained, and she wasn't in critical condition. Just an ordinary patient, or so everyone thought. At exactly 2:47 a.m., a nurse checked on her through the small glass window on the door. Evelyn was sitting upright on her bed, staring blankly at the wall, completely still. The nurse noted it down and moved on. 15 minutes later, when she returned to take Evelyn's vitals, the bed was empty. The door was still locked from the inside. The windows were sealed shut, and the air vent was far too small for anyone to crawl through. Her hospital gown, her slippers, even her IV line, all left behind. It looked as if she had simply vanished into thin air. The nurse called security. They rushed to the room, thinking maybe she'd somehow slipped out. But every door leading to the ward was under camera surveillance. Every exit required a key card, and not one of them had been used during that time. The footage showed no one entering or leaving her room, not even Evelyn herself. Doctors, guards, and investigators searched every floor, every storage area, even the roof. Nothing. It was as if the woman had never existed. The staff were terrified. How could someone disappear from a locked room with no possible way out? But what truly chilled them was what they found written on the hospital clipboard beside her bed. In shaky handwriting, it read, "Don't open the door again." By morning, St. Helena Hospital was in chaos. The news of Evelyn Carter's disappearance had spread through the staff like wildfire. A patient vanishing from a locked room was impossible, yet it had happened. The hospital immediately went into lockdown. No one was allowed to leave until every corner was searched and every camera reviewed. Security officers replayed the footage from the hallway outside room 407 again and again. Each time, the same thing. Total silence. The nurse walks past the door at 2:47 a.m., and then at 3:02 a.m., she returns, finds the bed empty, but in between, nothing. No one goes in, no one comes out. The timestamp rolls continuously, with no sign of a cut or a skip. Yet somehow, Evelyn was gone. Investigators inspected the locks, perfectly intact. The windows, bolted. No sign of tampering. Even the ceiling tiles were untouched. It was as if the room itself had swallowed her whole. The hospital's chief of security insisted it had to be human error, but the staff who'd worked that night swore they'd done everything right. Then came another strange detail. One of the guards mentioned hearing faint knocking sounds coming from room 407, hours after the disappearance. When he checked, the room was empty, lights flickering, and the temperature noticeably colder than the rest of the ward. The hospital administrators wanted to keep everything quiet, worried about panic or bad publicity. But by then, whispers had already started spreading, among nurses, patients, and even the cleaning crew. Some said Evelyn wasn't alone that night. Others believed she had seen something she shouldn't have. Whatever happened in that room, it didn't make sense. And the deeper the investigators looked, the more impossible it all became. Over the next few days, the investigation into Evelyn Carter's disappearance only grew stranger. Every piece of evidence seemed to lead nowhere, and every new discovery made things even harder to explain. For starters, her hospital room was spotless. No fingerprints other than hers and the nurses. Her food tray was untouched, the glass of water still half full, and her IV drip was cleanly disconnected, as if done by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. But there was no blood, no hair, no trace of where she might have gone. Then the hospital's IT team noticed something unusual. The security camera that monitored the hallway outside her room had glitched, only once, between 2:48 and 2:50 a.m., just 2 minutes of static. When the footage returned, everything looked normal again. The nurse later confirmed that was exactly when she'd last seen Evelyn sitting in her bed. One technician swore he saw a flicker, a faint silhouette of a figure standing by the door just before the screen went fuzzy. But when the footage was slowed down and enhanced, there was nothing, just static and shadows. Even more unsettling, the temperature logs for that section of the hospital showed a sudden drop, nearly 10 degrees. At the same moment, the camera glitched. The rest of the building remained perfectly stable. Doctors tried to come up with rational explanations: stress, fatigue, maybe even an unreported escape. But no one could answer one simple question. How could she have left a locked room without using the door, window, or vent? And then, another discovery sent chills down everyone's spine. When cleaning staff entered the room later that week, they found words faintly scratched into the metal bed frame, barely visible under the light. It read, "She's still here." As the days went by, people inside the hospital began forming their own theories about what really happened to Evelyn Carter. Some were logical, others deeply unsettling. The first theory came from the police. They believed Evelyn had somehow staged her own disappearance. Maybe she had help, a staff member, a visitor, someone who knew the building inside out. But that theory didn't hold for long. The hospital kept digital records of every door that opened that night. No one entered or left her ward without a keycard swipe, and there were none. The second theory came from the hospital's own security team. They suspected a hidden passage or a maintenance tunnel that hadn't been documented on the newer blueprints. So, they tore down sections of the wall, checked every crawl space, every vent shaft, nothing. The structure was solid. No secret doors, no hidden escape. That's when the whispers started. Some nurses claimed that room 407 was different, that patients assigned there often complained of hearing voices at night, or of someone standing beside their bed while they slept. A few even refused to work in that ward after Evelyn vanished. One staff member said she saw Evelyn's reflection in the window of another room days after she disappeared, standing silently, wearing the same hospital gown, her eyes empty. Security checked immediately, but no one was there. And then came the most chilling rumor of all. An old doctor who had worked at St. Helena for decades said room 407 wasn't even supposed to exist. It had once been part of a sealed-off wing, the same wing where a patient had died mysteriously years ago. Was Evelyn's disappearance an elaborate cover-up, a supernatural event, or something the hospital never wanted the world to know? No one had answers, only questions that seemed to grow darker the longer they were asked. A week after Evelyn Carter's disappearance, the hospital tried to move on. The room was sealed, marked under maintenance, and all records of her stay were quietly archived. One night, a janitor assigned to clean the East Wing noticed something strange. The lights in room 407, a room that was supposed to have no power, were flickering. At first, he thought it was just a wiring issue. But when he looked closer through the small window on the door, he froze. Inside the locked room, someone was sitting on the bed. The same pale hospital gown, the same long dark hair. For a moment, the janitor thought it was Evelyn. But then the figure slowly turned its head, and the lights went out completely. Security was called immediately. When they unlocked the door, the room was empty again. But this time the bed was freshly made, and a new message had appeared on the clipboard by the wall. "I told you not to open the door." The handwriting was matched against Evelyn's medical forms. It was identical. Even more disturbing, the hospital's electronic system suddenly showed Evelyn's patient ID as admitted, not discharged, not missing, admitted, as if she'd checked back in. After that night, the room was permanently closed. Every attempt to reopen it caused the lights in the entire floor to flicker uncontrollably. The hospital quietly erased room 407 from their records and renumbered the rooms, pretending it never existed. But some staff still swear that during the night shift, you can hear faint knocking sounds coming from behind the sealed wall, slow, deliberate, like someone still waiting to be let out. No one ever figured out what really happened to Evelyn Carter. The official report calls it a disappearance under unknown circumstances. But everyone who worked at St. Helena that night knows there was nothing normal about it. A woman vanished from a locked hospital room, and somehow her presence never left. Some believe it was a spirit claiming back what was once its room. Others think the hospital covered up something far darker, something human. But the truth? It lies somewhere behind that sealed door, where light still flickers every few nights, even though the power's been cut for years. And maybe that's what makes this story so haunting. The idea that a place meant for healing could hold something that doesn't want to be forgotten. So tell me, what do you think happened to Evelyn Carter? Was it a cover-up, a ghost, or something beyond our understanding? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.